it was really just, it was an interesting experience to meet people all over. And the reason I started crying when I met Dawn was that vibration that we're talking about is what I felt from Sybil, was what I felt from my original sponsors, Bev and Hugh, and Dawn knew my original sponsors. And so it doesn't make it, what do they say? There's like pockets of us around that are kind of at I hate to say deeper, but maybe a more open from just the intellectual of this thing, but the spirit, the actual spirit type thing. But yes, I was very blessed with the heroes that I sat at their feet, so to speak, with, and was given a message that was one from the heart. It really was. In those days, the book today, now everybody's really into it and stuff. But, when I look back and I remember, not that I didn't attend a book study the whole time and so forth, but I think if I did not feel safe and protected and loved by my sponsor, I never could have gotten into the Black Lines at the level that I did. But it was done with love. There was a lot of love given to me prior to necessarily the knowledge, which I sometimes think, now this is just my, it's not that, there's nothing wrong with how we do AA now. It's the way it's supposed to be and the way, things develop the way they do. But I wasn't put in a rehab. I should have been in a rehab right away. I mean, I was detoxing on the bricks with Valium, no Valium and no booze after being a daily drinker and a Valium user for 5 years. That was a hard come to, so to speak. Something should have happened for me, but it didn't. And so I was really brought into this program with the love that I think we're talking about today, of this feeling. I felt safe and protected for an hour and a half a day. And it was because of the energy that vibrated in those meetings in those days. So I felt this before I really got any knowledge about it. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people come out of the rehabs with a lot of knowledge, but they haven't got the love. So I think it's backwards. And that makes me wonder about how, knowledge isn't the answer, so to speak. But anyway, so where were we? We're here now. You did the nightly review. I agree.
Hey, Mary, can I just jump in real quick?
Absolutely, go.
Because I don't want to lose this point. We stopped on a thought life we stopped on, after making our review, we asked God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. So I want to pick this up right here, and then I'll give it back to Mary, because I don't want to lose this connection about inquire into corrective measures. So it says, on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours. We consider our plans for the day. Okay, this is the connection I want to make. Coyes blew this out of the water for me. And he said, what do you think that means? And I said, well, I write down everything I'm going to do. And he said, that's not what it means. I said, what do you mean that's not what it means? He goes, just what I said, it's not what it means. I said, well, what's it mean then? He said, well, I'll tell you, listen. He said, what it means is you're going to consider your plans for the day. Your plans are how you're going to be based on your corrective measures the night before. And it changed everything. See, here we go back to this doing thing again. You want to know what to do? Pay attention. Life will tell you what to do. Your life is so presented to you, it will tell you what you need to do. It's providing what you need if you keep close to it. It's doing it all the time. So pay attention. So when he said, this isn't what you're going to do, this is how you're going to be. And this shifted the whole thing. Have you ever met somebody where you can talk to them and talk to them and talk to them, and all you get is information and knowledge and intellect, but you just can't get to their spirit, like Mary said. They're just not present. They're not there. You can't get through because they're either in the past, or you ever talk to somebody and all they ever talk about is the past. They never talk about the present. Like what's happening right now in front of them with you. That's what I'm talking about. They're constantly living in a memory. They're not here. This is the future. They're always projecting. They're always creating mental anxiety about what's going to happen next. The thoughts don't ruin your day. Thoughts do not ruin your day. It's your faith in those thoughts that ruin your day. It's the faith in the God of reason. That's what ruins your day. So it's like we really, really want to get clear on what the real problem is here. Because if I'm working on a supposed problem that's not a problem, I won't get any results from it. And I'll try harder to work on the problem a different way. So Koya said to me, he said, your plans for the day, how are you going to be? Before you begin, you ask God to direct your thinking, especially ask him to be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking motives. So here's my deal with this. Same thing, 200 times, okay, God, direct my thinking, divorce from self-pity, put my thought life on that, it's a road. And then I use that muscle that was under. Wait, let's get into some real self-searching about this thing. See, what does this mean? What does this mean? What is it? What is that? What are they asking? Divorce from self-pity. For me, self-pity is the past. Dishonest is I'm seeing from an ego structure. I'm not seeing with clarity. I'm not seeing truthfully. I'm not seeing from a higher thought life. I'm not seeing from a position of neutrality. I'm not seeing from presence. I'm not seeing from a state of grace, however you want to say it. And self-seeking is the future. So what I'm asking for is I'm asking to be consciously present right here, right now. I'm asking to be aware that thy will is being done. It's happening. That's what I'm asking for. And when I got that on the beach, I could be on the beach. I could be where I was. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. Well, look, what are my mental faculties? My thinking. Here's one. Your language, the way you use words. I think. No, you don't. Thinking happens and you claim it. So you start to get the cart before the horse, right? You start to see with some clarity about what you're doing and what you're saying and how you're being in the world. See, this is what it's talking about. Vision. I mean, there's all kind of, look them up. You got to figure them out for yourself. For after all, God gave us brains to use. And we hear this all the time in meetings. My mind's out to get me. Well, that's not what it's saying here. My mind is just my mind. That's what it is. And if it's put on a higher thought life, it doesn't seem like it's out to get me. It seems like it's out to support me. It changes. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. So not right and wrong, but wrong meaning off track, off course. I'm off course. So this is the thing, it says about, this is what I said earlier in the beginning of this thing, in thinking about our day. Well, they've just taught about thought life, mental faculties, thinking about our day, indecision, inspiration, intuitive thought, decision. In 2 paragraphs, they've mentioned this probably 15 times. They're focusing on something going on here. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask for inspiration to a thought. We relax, we take it easy. I mean, that's all Bill says about meditation. We relax, we take it easy. There's so many modalities of meditation. Greg said it. I think the whole point of meditation is to bring you to a meditative state where you can be present in the world, period. End of conversation. That's what I think the exercise of meditation is. And there's a lot of ways to do it. There's different vipassana, there's centering prayer, there's that. I could go on and on and on. I could name, I don't know how many. They're just different modalities from different cultures, from different people who have had awakenings and have formed their own way to do this. And we can benefit from them all. Be quick to see where religious people are right. But at some point, you got to wear the sweater. You got to find what works for you. Finley has a walking meditation. First thing I did on the beach. I started walking on the beach because I have 49% lung capacity. I have emphysema. And I was walking on the beach one day, and I was walking because I was told to do that for my lungs. And it dawned on me on the beach that I was not walking on the beach for my lungs. That I was walking on the beach because this thing was providing what I needed if I kept close to it, and it was using what was available. And I'd heard people say this like Prince. It uses what's available. And what was available was I had a lung condition. And it turned the dirt into gold. See, all of a sudden, things start to switch. And they have a different meaning and a different flavor. And you're not going, oh, poor me because of my lung condition. I don't ever really complain about that. It's just a fact, period. In fact, you probably didn't know it until I just told you that. So this is kind of where I'm going with this. So I'm going to give it back to Mary. I just wanted to throw that in there. I didn't want to lose that connection between the corrective measures and being.
Okay. As I said earlier, Alabama Carruthers was the one that told me to read this every day. And she wanted what to do during the day is to know what is being said on this 86, 87, and 88. It tells you exactly what to do when you're not in a meeting. And and it took me a long time of reading this on these black lines before I digested them, if you will. And started to actually do them instead of just read them. And it's a different experience when you experience it. And I'm going to start with one of the last lines there, next to last paragraph on 88, where it says, I, the alcoholic, am undisciplined. So I'm going to let God discipline me in the simple way He has just outlined. And the other night when I did some other thing on the 11th step, I chose that as the name of what I wanted to talk about because I'm undisciplined. My mind is undisciplined. That's what's undisciplined, is my mind. That's why the problem centers in my mind, is that I listen to the critic in my mind, the judge, the whatever, build stories around things. I don't do any of this stuff that's about ready to be done. And so my journey has been kind of a fun one to go through and to realize, and especially since the pandemic and this other app, Insight Timer, where this woman reads this stuff on Insight Timer to us, reads exactly what we're doing right now, page 86, 87, and 88, on awakening and when you retire at night. And so you can have apps now that do this. You don't even have to do anything. I mean, right, we didn't even have cell phones or answering machines or anything when I soaked up. And, right, it's just like easy. Get with it, folks. This is an easy way to do it here. Zoom now. Can you imagine how many lives that we touched? Whoever that was that thanked for meeting us or something, honest to God, that's true. I've met so many wonderful people over the last year on this thing. And I had a lot of contempt prior to investigation about this Zoom stuff. So there, I can be wrong. So what this thing said, God disciplined us in a simple way that was just outlined. And I thought, God disciplines. I wasn't raised with a religion that disciplined or you were naughty or sinned or anything else. So it was like that kind of shocked me when I read that. And what do you mean He disciplines me? What does that mean? He just outlined it. So if you read this thing, you're going to find there's 8 asks in what we're doing. Actually, it's kind of a little bit more asks, but they use different words. But there's actually 8 words that say we ask. And that was very true. If you're anything like I am, I was vomiting in the toilet saying, God, please help me. I didn't say that before I went to the bar, afterwards. And everything, I didn't ask God for any direction when I felt one way or the other. I just did what my self-sufficiency thought should be done. I wasn't living in the world of the spirit. I was living in the world of my mind. And, and pretty much at that point, I'd run into some problem and then I would ask God. But it's not, so I had it backwards. We do everything backwards, as Hugh Douglas used to say. He'd say, do you ever notice when you get a cake in sobriety and they bring the cake in and they've lit the candles, the one lighting the candle always lights the candles on the outside and then tries to light them on the inside. We do it backwards. We know everything about dying and pain and everything. There's nothing about joy and life and love and anything else. So we're backwards people. We're mentally and presently are mentally and whatever different than our fellow, as it says on page 30. Look up the quote. I'm old now, I can't remember it all. So, but on page 30 it says, this has to be smashed that we're like other people, or presently maybe. We're not. We're bodily and mentally different than our fellow. So I need to remember to ask for that presence in my life. That's the only thing God wants me to do. It's the only way I'm disciplined is if I ask. And so this 3 pages have come alive to me in the pandemic. And I've been playing with some of them now because of that pray-minder. That little thy will be done comes up a lot because I realized that I didn't say it many times a day. I was lying to myself when I got honest and looked at it. That wasn't what was happening at all. So I want to kind of take off with what you said about at night, it says that, we ask God's forgiveness and what corrective measures to take. That's your first ask. So, wow. And it doesn't say ask and now I'm going to figure it out. It just says we're going to ask. I have one sponsee, Chanel, and she kept saying, I keep asking God for forgiveness and what corrective measures to be. And I said, are you trying to figure out what they are? And she said, yes. I said, well, don't go to sleep. That'll be him. Don't worry about it. Just go to sleep. If you've asked God, let God do this thing. Do a little waiting on the Lord. Because in the morning, you're going to go right back to God. Because the next ask comes. You see, there is a connection between it. And, when we ask for this me, the selfishness to be removed, self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives, that's all, we wake up and the voices are already going, me. And that's all about selfishness. And it says that in page 62, we must get rid of the selfishness or it kills us. It doesn't say we must get rid of alcohol or it kills us. It says we must get rid of our selfishness. That's a hint there that maybe this is what's going on. So it says, and then I'm going to consider my plans for the day. And for years, I did exactly, I said, okay, I'm going to do a wash and I'll make the bed. And then one day, as years went on, I heard the 12th step, which says we practice these principles in all of our affairs. I was thinking to myself about that. What are my principles? Well, if you work with me, you find out what your morals and values are when you're done with the 4th step, the 5th step. You get an idea, all right? I just have a way of going through it. So I have some realizations that what God wants me to be. That's a very important thing. What does God want me to be? He wants me to be, let's just take the ones behind the steps. He wants me honest, open-minded, willing, courageous. He wants me to have some integrity, humility, readiness, curiosity. I found others when I asked God, if you could remove all this fear, what would you have me be? One of them is authentic. Um, that's what God would have me be, is authentic. Whether you like me or not, I'm going to try to tell you who I am. And if I'm not authentic, then I can't stand. You might be pleased, but by God, I've gone against that God inside of me, because I've been a people pleaser, and I crucified the God within me. And when I people please, because I know what God would have me be, and it's a lifetime process of me trying to do that with some type of understanding and effectiveness. And it's the hardest thing. So 7-step prayer, when it says, grant me strength to go out from here to do your bidding, I understand I need strength to be authentic with you. Sometimes I need strength to be honest with you, to tell you who I am. And that takes a lot. So I too, when I consider my plans for the day, my plan might be, just today I'll be authentic. No matter what I'm doing, whether I'm going to the store or I'm making my bed, or I'm just going to be authentic, or I'm meeting my neighbor, or being asked to speak in front of all these people. I'm just going to be who I am, because God would have me be honest and open. So I use a principle there. And first of all, when I've removed God, so I'm going to have a little demonstration on how this came to me. When it said that I ask God to direct my thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. That means if I do this every morning, I wake up with those 3 things every day. It's a daily reprieve from those, okay? Every day. I haven't arrived where I can't do this because I have X amount of years. So now, that's your second ask. I'm going to ask God to direct my thinking. Here's another asking, that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, and self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, I can employ my mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave me brains to use. Now, this is the point. My thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when my thinking is cleared of wrong motives. Now, I played with that. Why didn't it say that my thinking will be placed on a higher plane? It doesn't say that. It says my thought life. Do you realize that anything that goes through, any thought, I start to think about it? And if I haven't asked God to remove the selfishness, then it's usually about me. But when I notice that when I've asked God to remove the selfishness, the me stuff, that my thought life is on a higher plane. It's almost like I wake up and I have this little cap over. There's the little cap here. Let's put the little cap up here. It's all covered and it's all about me. And then when I ask God to remove some of that, some light comes in, and the thought life is not coming from a higher place than within my mind. That's the communication, okay? We're improving our conscious contact with God. So that energy, that world of the spirit, has a place that starts to come in, and usually I'm not thinking about myself, having thoughts about myself. They're thoughts about you, for a change. Or that the ducks are out there. I'll be there soon to feed you. But it was like that things like that come to me that's on a higher plane. It hasn't got anything to do with what Mary3 gets for the moment, type thing. And it's an amazing experience when you realize that these thoughts come from a higher place and that you are communicating. At this point, the Oxford group would stop when they asked God to direct their thinking, and they would take a piece of paper and a pencil, and they would start to write down the thoughts that came into their head. Now we have a wonderful member. I'd really like to meet this man. I haven't met him, but I've listened to him. Is that Father Bill Wilson, or I think his name is, I don't know, Bill W. I'm sorry if I broke anonymity there, but there is some guy, and he's got about a year more than I am, and he has this thing called two-way prayer. But this was done by the Oxford group, and this means you're going to actually have some kind of a relationship. I have experienced writing things that I tell you are not from me. I know it the minute. But some presence is present with you right this second. This is very exciting stuff for me. It's like, yeah, because I've a little woo-woo. That's why I like California. They were woo-woo. So I like Santa Fe, very woo-woo. I mean, there is something going on besides our externals, I guess. So my thoughts are on this, that once I've done that, I've kind of set in motion being present with the presence. Pick a value that you know is yours. Honesty, mine, authentic today. Curious is one that I always live with. I'm always curious. Somebody says, you ask, my daughter hates it. She says, you're always asking questions. I said, I was never allowed to before. I do now. I love it. I love to learn. So that's that, my feeling on that paragraph. It's fun to see how that shifts. Now it says, when I think about the day, now this is a new one that I'm really playing with. And I love this because I was listening to that app and it says, in thinking about my day, I might face indecision. I may not be able to determine which course to take. I'm retired. I have no shit. I don't have any job to go. Listen, this is like a thing for me nowadays. Okay, what will I do? Phone rings. There's Kurt. On the phone. Must be what I'm going to do. But what it says here, here I ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. I relax and take it easy. I don't struggle. I'm often surprised how the right answers come after I've done this for a while. And I might have inspiration, but I'm not really in touch with God, and I might ruin it and all this other stuff. And it goes on and says that. But now, I promise you, I have come to rely upon that plane of inspiration. It's a plane. In other words, I have no idea what I'm going to tell you people. Something's going to come through or it isn't. I really believe my phone would not have rung if God didn't want me to talk. I really believe that. So, all right, here's the kicker. I did ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought. I have done that for years, but I only have measures, which will avail you nothing, really. There was one other thing I was supposed to do, was ask for the decision. And it occurred to me this past couple of years that I didn't ask for the decision because I was young, I had a lot of energy, I'm a doer. But my doer and inspiration and energy was all about what I wanted. It wasn't from God. It was self-efficiency. And, I've had an amazing demonstration of those three things because I don't know what to do next. So I said, God, give me some inspiration, intuitive thought, and please give me the decision, the power to do something. The other night I was talking to Karen. I called Karen before I was going to be on talking on something. And she was going to research it for me. And I still had an hour before I had to go on. I said, I'm going to call this number that I got on television about who wants to see. It is not my goal to look up what Medicare thing I need. This is a new thing when you get old. It's a new problem type thing. So I didn't know which group to go with, but I did know that I wanted to have a couple of my doctors on the same network. I did that. Now, I didn't do that, but I had the power to dial the number and start the process, and God set me up 10 minutes before I got on to do the next thing that was happening. So what I'm trying to say is that you'll find that you'll get inspiration and intuitive thoughts, such as, God, those windows need, the salt water's all over them. I really need to get those, clean. That's an inspiration and an intuitive thought, I haven't done anything. I just look at the next day. And finally I said, God, you want to give me some inspiration, intuitive thought, and a decision? And I see it and I go, yeah, those need to be cleaned. And the next thing I know, I'm looking for the glass spray and I'm out there cleaning them. I've got to tell you, this works. It really does. Like it says on page 88, you really want to try this stuff. You don't want to just read this stuff. Try it. Wait on the Lord. Something will happen. To me, it's an adventure. It's truly an adventure. So that's what I ask for, and I relax and take it easy. And that's it. This next part on page 87, I feel as though I'm doing the same workshop over again, but this is the 11th step, so here we go. So this is the next new thing that I realized. Okay, so I conclude the period of meditation. I've meditated, I do meditation and stuff, and then I'm kind of looking at this, and I go, okay, what's my next step to be, God? If I'm going to ask you, best friend, I call my God my best friend, what's my next step? What should I be doing? And immediately after it says, I used to stop there. I didn't hear the next line. I read it, but I didn't digest it. And it said, that I be shown all through the day what my next step is to be, comma, that I be given whatever I need to take care of such problems. What? Do you mean if I ask you what step to do, God, means I'm going to have a problem? Yeah, it is. Because Mary3 doesn't want to wash the windows or call to find out about Medicare, but I was given whatever I need to take care of that problem. And the next thing says, I need to be, this is why I have to be given this, because I have so much self-will, it runs riot. I don't think I have self-will, but I do. I'm very self-willed, and I have to ask for freedom from that. And not to just ask for myself. This morning, when I found out that Kurt wanted to do, I do the next thing. I do ask for myself if I'm going to be of help to others. It's the only time I do it is before I start one of these things. My prayer usually is this: please God, use me as an instrument, and please God, use everybody that's there as an instrument for me. You see, I might have given to you, but you people have already given me memories and gifts that I couldn't have gotten if I wasn't sitting here. I just couldn't have gotten it. Or to think that I had some knowledge to give. I do have. I've got some experience. I've been doing this for a long time. I think it's important to ask whoever. My cats always join me in meditation. I don't have any problem with that. So I ask, hey, it's time. Let's go. And if not, Dawn, who's on here, who you heard speaking, I work with her, and she usually calls, like, want to read? Yeah, I want to read. So we end up reading. And I have several gals that I read quite a bit of other literature, as it says here, and I love it. The opportunity comes to be able to share with some of these people whose acorn cap is getting cracked right open and lights flowing in, and I have the privilege to sit with her. I had to make an amends to her today because. There was, and I thought afterwards why I said, I hope I didn't go too deep. Take what you like and leave the rest. But sometimes it can get lonely. And so I need people like, her when she's on that level, or Kurt, or Don Coyas, or lots of people where we're kind of odd. I mean, we're odd people. Look at your books and my books. Other people have Good Homekeeping or something magazine on their thing, not me. So I'm just not like that. One of my inventories with a woman I was using between when Bev died and somebody else that I had as a sponsor. I did an inventory. She says, what your problem is? I said, what? And she said, you don't accept who you are. I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, you're trying to be like somebody who has good housekeeping on there. It's just not who you are, Mary3. She said, and I went, what? And you see, I didn't understand that to thy own self be true, what that meant. And Hugh Douglas used to say this all the time. If God wants you to be a dandelion, be a dandelion. Stop trying to be a rose. If you're, and I just did this book study in Australia, and one of the women is an artist, and she sent me a drawing she did of a dandelion, and there's words on it. It says, in this world of roses, be a dandelion. Yeah, you want to be what God wants you to be. Stop trying to be like other people. Just be what God wants you to be, and this helps me to do this. So anyway, so I ask people and I do that. The next ask comes in, as I go through the day. This doesn't mean in the morning read this and at night. It means during the day. You're going to get agitated or doubtful. I've had that happen several times today. I go, all right, God, what's my next action or thought? I mean, I don't know what's going on here. I'm a little doubtful. And it's amazing. This works so quickly. It really does. And then the last thing that we need to be doing is that thy will be done. And why would I be saying that many times a day? It's the answer to what Karen said. If you say that many times a day, you're going to have less danger of excitement, of fear, of anger, of worry, of self-pity, or foolish decisions. I'm becoming more efficient. I'm not going to tire so easily. I'm not going to burn up energy foolishly as I did when I was trying to arrange my life the way it goes. That's really, and it's too simple, isn't it? It's too friggin' simple to say thy will be done. So I have a watch and that pray minder that goes, thy will be done. Oh, okay, thy will be done. God, make me the mother you want me to be. Thanks. Not the one I think I should be. Little prayer comes up and says, did you pause? So then I pause for 10 seconds. You know, that, I remember one time somebody said, if you meditate, you know, in this meditation, just meditate for 10 seconds 6 times a day. That's only 1 minute, folks. That's 1 minute. You try pausing for 10 seconds. I found out I could do it with the street lights here in Tampa. They're much longer than 10 seconds, let me tell you. So the minute I stop, I stare at a tree for 10 seconds, and then I blink and I go on with the day. You try doing that. See what happens. All of a sudden, you'll jam yourself back into where your feet are. And that's pretty much where I want to go with this. I'm going to let God continue to discipline me daily, as was outlined. It's such an adventure. This was a wonderful day. Thank you for asking me to share, Kurt. I just, it's been an honor. It really is. I just love our relationship and how it's grown. I'm so blessed with the many, many people around this world that I know today. My cup runneth over, and I have been given something that I didn't even know I wanted. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mary. Kurt, I wanted to check in with you real quick, and Mary too. I know the flyer time says we end at 1:30, but we're willing to continue into step 12 if you guys are. So you just let me know what you want to do.
I can hang for a little bit more. Maybe we just brush on this, just touch on it. I mean,
okay.
I think most of what we've been talking about, you know, I think this is all the 12-step work.
Yes.
And practicing these principles in all our affairs. I mean, we've been talking about that. But we can definitely, I mean, I don't know, Mary, where are you with this?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's up to you. How about you people? You're the ones sitting around listening.
Yeah, right.
Why don't you give us some feedback here? We've been
talking
about us.
And let's open it up for questions and then comments as we're doing that real quick on, if you want to go further.
I will ask you something, Erica. People have asked for my number. What happens with this thing? Do you put it in the thing? Do I put it in the chat? What happens?
So you go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm going to open up the chat right now for everyone. I've been closing it while the speakers are speaking, so there's only direct messages. So if you want to go ahead and do you know how to put it in the chat?
I'll try. Okay. This is a new adventure. I'm going to try.
Yes.
Intuitive thought. There you go. I thought it was.
Okay, so go ahead. Did you finish?
Oh no, I was just wanted to say with Mary, like when you had your alarm, thy will be done. We were kind of joking. It's like get like one of those doggy shock collars. Thy will be done.
You have one for my dog. It's kind of reminding me. So yeah, let's go ahead and open it up for questions or comments or shares, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, and you can kind of wrap it up beautifully with the 12 step. We understand if you have to go, so feel free to jump off. We don't want you to, but that's the time that was on the flyer, so we understand if you plan things around that. So